Hi everyone, welcome to the first video in the D3 tutorial series. In this video, I'll just be giving you an overview of what D3 is and how it compares to other plotting packages. I'll also be walking through some examples so you get a better idea of what you can do with D3. If you already have an idea of what D3 is and just want to jump into some examples, I have other videos uploaded where you can follow along for specific concrete examples. So yeah, let's get started with this video. So D3 is a package in JavaScript, and it stands for data-driven documents. So what that means is your web page, the document, your data drives the visualization basically. So that's all very hand wavy, but sort of a more specific explanation is in normal plotting packages, when you plot, like say a scatter plot, for example, the output is an image, but when you make it with D3, each point gets its own element. So if you're familiar with HTML, like the paragraph tag, that's an element. Like here, this is its own element. So in your D3 visualization, each point or graphic or mark or whatever will have its own element. So this gives you a lot more power in your D3 visualizations because you can sort of individually select specific points if you want to do something with those, or basically anything you can do in JavaScript you can do with D3. But anyways, so let's compare D3 to some other packages like matplotlib in Python or ggplot in R. If you're familiar with those packages, usually making a visualization is very quick, usually just a few lines of code at most. Whereas in D3, you usually need a lot of lines of code because you're building the visualization from the ground up, basically, like things like the axis, the scales that you use, the points, all of these elements you have to sort of code yourself. Whereas in something like matplotlib, it's sort of done for you behind the scenes. So while this sounds like a downside, if you want to make a visualization that's very customizable, where you have maybe some more complicated ideas, then D3 might be a better option. You can also include interactive elements in D3, so things like hovering over a point and showing a tooltip, or having transitions effects like data over time. You can sort of have the visualization moving on its own, and a lot of other things. Another thing is that D3 is built for the web. Since it's built in JavaScript, the visualization is created in the browser. So that's another benefit in today's day and age where a lot of sharing your visualization, is on the web. It's nice that D3 is already built for that. Okay, enough talking about concepts. Let's jump into some examples. So on the D3 website itself, there's actually a lot of great examples here. There's like things like a lot of geographic plotting. You see like a Sankey diagram here. A lot of bubble charts. So there's a lot of variety in the plots you can make with D3. Let's open some of these examples. Okay, so here's an article on directors, like movie directors and their stars. So this is like a network visualization. So like you can see if you hover over the specific edges, you can get more details here. So this is like what I was talking about with the interactive stuff. So D3 is great for like visual storytelling because there's just so much content you can sort of layer on into your visualization. that wouldn't be possible with something like matplotlib. Or let's see, another example. This one, you can include time as an element. So here we can see, I think this one's wealth and health of nations. So we have life expectancy on the y-axis and income per capita on the x-axis. So here you can there's a lot of information here, really. So yeah, interactivity is a big part of D3. Let's see, here's an example I made similarly. It's also a time, includes time as an element. This is the NBA regular season win-loss overtime from the 2019 to 2020 season. So this is one of those bar chart races. You can see like there's a lot you can add. I added these team icons in at the end. I added a little marker here to show the 8th seed for each conference. So yeah, all of this stuff, it was coded for basically. So it was a lot of lines of code, but the end result, you can see a lot of information in one visualization. Yeah, you can also make art with D3. So here's sort of a fun example I found. This one's called Koalas to the Max. And when you hover over the circles, they split into smaller circles. And you'll sort of see why it's called Koalas to the Max in a few seconds. If I move a bit faster here, you can sort of start to see a koala. So yeah, that's just sort of a fun example. Yeah, okay, so if I'm not going to go over too many more examples, but if you want to see more examples, I'll link these below. I have found this other link with some more generic examples, as well as there's a GitHub here with a lot more examples here. But yeah, I'll link all of these in the description, so you can feel free to peruse them at your leisure. The last part I'd like to go over for this video is just making a simple scatter plot in one of your typical plotting packages compared to D3. So first, if you're familiar with the iris dataset, it's a dataset that contains measurements for flowers. I think this one's from the UCI machine learning department or something. But either way, it's a very popular data set just to have something to work with. So here is using the Seaborn package, we plotted the sepal length and the sepal width as a scatter plot, and we colored each point by the type of flower. So you can see it's really just one line of code here. So like I mentioned earlier, plotting with these normal packages are a lot more straightforward. So if you're going for something simple, it's probably easier just to use these packages. But if you compare it to something like D3, here is all the code needed to create a similar plot. So it's a lot longer. But that's really not the strength of D3. This is the plot. It's basically the same thing. The one upside, I guess, you have is if you zoom in, you can see that each of these points doesn't become pixelated because they are created with a vector. And each of these are their own elements. So let's see, if we inspect the web page here we go. You can sort of see, here, let me make this bigger. Okay, so each of these circles, these points, are represented in our HTML document with their own tag. So let's see that blue highlighted circle. We can change the size here. You can move it a bit, I guess. So because we have each point defined as its own element, there's a lot we can do in D3. So yeah, I won't go into detail with how to create this plot. I'll leave that for the next video, where I'll teach you how to create a scatter plot in D3. But yeah, some other resources that I found useful when I was learning D3. These are completely free online books. This one's called Using D3.js, and this one's D3 in depth. I think both are great. I just like the aesthetics of this one a bit more, honestly. But I'll sort of be walking through the basics, these few chapters, naturally in my next few videos as I walk through creating the chart. But if you are a textbook person, I definitely recommend checking these out. But yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment below. And yeah, that's it. Thanks for watching.